So this is perspectives on utilization of teak genetic resources. I am talking about teak because teak is one of the not one of the, it is the most important species for whole of India. And coming to the southern states, there's another species is sandal. Nowadays, there is a lot of farmers. They have taken up the cultivation of teak and also sandal. And many people, like Sir was telling, the people are producing tissue culture teak plants. The nowadays there's a promotion of tissue culture teak plantation is going on, but the most important question is what is that you are propagating? So what is the source? Is it a good genetic material? Is it from a good source? Is it from a plus tree you are propagating, or from what material? This is the matter of concern. And I have seen some of those things. The trees are straight, but the wood is not circular. The wood is not perfect round. So these are the some of the questions. And I have structured my talk on this like this. One is the teak in India. That means teak is there in India for thousands or millions of years. And how this Britishers they handled this the teak, and subsequently in post-independence, what happened to the teak, particularly the tree improvement activities of teak. A lot of activities were taken up, and very recent developments like the tissue culture development, tissue culture plants. So the Britishers they knew the importance of teak because this is one of the important species for shipbuilding, and that's why they initiated a lot of activities on teak. If you see the number of publications on teak, you will find quite a number of publications on teak by these British foresters. So in the post-independence also, with a lot of enthusiasm, they have started teak seed production, seed orchards, but somehow we lost that pace. Our loss has been utilized by the other countries, particularly the Indonesia, the African countries, and America, that the Central and South American countries. And that's what I am going to talk teak at global level. What are the private initiatives? And what is the technological advancements which have been made? So this is the rough structure of my presentation. Sometimes I may jump from one point to another point, but let us just see this. And this, all of you know that it is the India is a timber deficient country. Every year we import timber, and teak itself we import something like about logs worth of about 7,500 crore rupees. So today it may be around 10,000 crore rupees of wood we are importing. And teak is an important species here because everybody, whomsoever they want to construct a house, they want to have a teak as a construction material. And a common man want to have a teak furniture in his house. And that way teak is a very common species of utilization in India. Our farmers also very much interested in growing the teak. So this is the most preferred species by the farmers when we did the survey. They want teak plants. But what is the type of material which is available? Where are the good type of seedlings are available? These are all the questions. So since 1980, the teak logging was banned in India. So we are importing the teak. And teak, if you see in 2013 data here, so teak is, we are importing from at least about 25 to 30 countries. And you can see the list here. So which is Tanzania, PNG, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nigeria, Ghana, Guyana, so Costa Rica, Ecuador, Panama, Sudan. So in none of these countries, teak is a native species. Teak was introduced to these countries. And those people are producing teak, and we are importing teak from those countries. The quality of timber of those countries, the wood is coming is not as good as teak that is grown in India. So, but next to China, the India is the largest importer of the wood, in particularly the teak wood. So this teak, it is a species which is amenable. It can be grown as a plantation crop as well as a bund planting by the small holding farmers. So there is a scope for extending its cultivation in as a plantation crop as well as an agroforestry species. And this is also a climate resilient species, but however, about 30% of the tea growing areas in India is vulnerable for the climate change. And teak timber is the one which we use it for construction. Once we use it for construction, it stays for a very long time. So that way, this is one of the very good species for locking the carbon for a long time and reduction of the carbon in the atmosphere. And if you see here on the right side, we have given, so if you take the natural forest, there are about 29 million hectares of natural forest. Out of that, about 6.5 million hectares of natural forests are there in India. Whereas in the teak plantations, these plantations have come up in the last 2 to 2.5 decades, about three decades. So there are about 5.82 million hectares of teak plantation, and India is about 1.5 million hectares. And if you see here, India is 43% and Indonesia is 31%. This is a slightly older data. So if you see that teak is not native to Indonesia. Teak was introduced to Indonesia by the Dutch East India Company, and they are growing teak as a plantation crop for about 300 to 400 years. So that way, the technology-wise, the plantation, as a pure plantation, in Indonesia, they are doing a lot of work because for 300 to 400 years, they are growing it as a plantation crop, and they never had teak as a natural species. So it is a naturalized, but for 300 years, they are working on this teak plantation. That is why there is a good work which has been done by private companies in Indonesia, particularly the Sabah group, that I will be talking. So other countries are American countries, some Africa, and of course Myanmar, it is native, and Thailand also it is a native. And all of us know that it is known as the king of timber, and it is a very good quality timber, good grains, and it is a very strong wood. And so there was some debate that the fast-grown teak timber may not be as good as our naturally growing teak plantations, but a study conducted by the KFRI has reported that the fast-grown teak timber is not inferior in quality and durability to the traditionally grown teak timber. Sir, you see this is the natural range of teak. So teak is native to India, then Burma, part of Thailand, and part of Laos. And these are the countries, that is India, Burma, Thailand, and Laos. And this was introduced in Indonesia. It was introduced in Indonesia. So coming back to teak, the distribution, if you see here, it is there in the Western Ghats. It is there in the central India. It is also there in the Eastern Ghats. So the diversity of teak is quite high in India compared to any of the other countries because of its distribution in the wet zones, in the in the dry zones, and in the semi-dry zones. So that way there is a variability in teak, and this variability we have not fully exploited. Always I keep on saying that we have not done justice to teak. So let me go ahead and say that further. why that statement, whether it is valid or not. So like I mentioned that, you can see here, this green areas, what you have shown here, so that is the teak natural range. Whereas now it is being grown in so many other countries. So it is being cultivated in large scale in about 30 countries, but the recorded cultivation or growing of teak is in about more than 70 countries. So mostly 70 countries in the mostly the tropical belt they are growing. And Australia is also very much interested in teak. So the northern part of Australia, so there also they are growing a lot of teak. Lot of teak plantation have come up in Australia also. So we have got teak from the Kenya, Ghana, then Nicaragua, the Brazil, Ecuador, all these areas. Already I have said that it is a species suitable as a plantation and also agroforestry, wider adaptability. And you can use it as a coppice, as a vegetative propagule, and also you can use it as the seed material. And it is possible to reduce the rotation age. We will see how much rotation age can be reduced in my coming slides. So I'll talk something slightly about the pre-independence teak. And you can see that teak was a very important species for the Britishers. And they knew the importance of teak in shipbuilding. So they had their species which were taking about 300 to 400 years, but here is the species that time which can be harvested in 100 to 120 years. They found it is really suited for shipbuilding. So the concept is then the country which owns the ships will rule the world, maximum number of ships. So that way they had a lot of shipbuilding activities. And then they wanted the teak for their palaces and castles as a decorative material, as a paneling material. And it is also stated the best tea trees have been removed by the Britishers. So they have gone there, and you can see them in the palaces and castles of the British, the Great Britain. And what you are seeing is the Connolly plot, and Connolly was credited with this establishing the first artificial plantation of teak in 1846. Realizing that teak is important, teak is required, and teak resources may not last very long, and they wanted the technology to be developed. So that is why in 1846, the Connolly established the first teak plantation. That is how we say he laid the foundation for the scientific plantation forestry in India. So this plant, this particular plant is still existing in Kerala, and this is the Connolly plant, very old plant, and you can see the huge trees here and very good growth. And there is another technology they introduced, that is the stump planting technology. So that was introduced by Bourdillon in 1878. So in 1878, they planted this, they started this stump planting. So large scale plantations, they were able to rise in the remote, inaccessible areas because of this technique of stump planting.
Sir, I have a small query. May I ask?
Yes, please.
You spoke about the Connolly, that permanent preservation plot. I just wanted to ask whether that teak vegetation, that teak population is properly maintained or it is allowed to the natural successional changes. What is that permanent means?
Sir, there it is maintained. It is not allowed to go to the original forest type.
Okay.
It is maintained as a plantation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah.
And this is a Bourdillon, and like this we have got the Connolly plot, the Bourdillon plot, the Chatham plot, then Ramarau's plot in different areas we have got. So they are all acting as they have the Kerala Forest Department has preserved these plots, and very nicely they are maintaining with good labels and these things. I have taken these photos from those straight away from there one. Now this is one of the plantations area. You can see this is in Kerala Parambikulam Dam, and the whole area, this whole area, what you are saying is the huge teak plantation. And we have worked here, we have converted some of these areas into seed production areas under World Bank project. And this is, they say that as per the record, the Limca Book of Records, this is the largest standing living teak tree. This is, they call it as a Connemara teak, which is about measured about 48 meters height. And the girth is about 6.57 meters. 6.57 meters girth. That means that is the radius is around about 2 meters. So the plank size will be more than 6 feet, the width of the plank. So that is the type of wood which was available. And in one of our IFS training course in Coimbatore, we have taken them. You can see that another tree in the nearby area which was felled. But you can see this stump, the base portion. That means that area, even today they say that they are in Malayatur area and other things, we have got huge teak trees. Such huge teaks have been removed by the Britishers and used for the shipbuilding and other purposes. But we cannot blame only that. They are also instrumental in raising the large scale plantations of teak in India. And they also generated a lot of information on teak. I would say that it is in pages and pages and pages. Indian forest records. The plantation technique, teak plantation technique by Griffith. So this is in 1942. 1911, Pearson, note on the relative strength of natural and plantation grown teak in Burma. That is natural and plantation grown teak, what is the wood strength? We were talking about 20 years back, but this is in 1911. They have done this comparison. And in this Indian forest record, I have seen about stump. There are 3 publications. One says stump, what should be the size of the stump? And the other one says that what should be the length of the root? The other one says which season is good for stump production? The other one says that how long we can store the stumps. At least I find about more than 50 pages notes on just teak stump production and management. So that is the type of work, that is the type of literature these British people have generated. Like I mentioned that you earlier, that teak is native to these countries, like India, the Burma, Thailand, and a part of Laos. Now, if you see here, this diagram and the diversity, if you see this scale is the diversity scale, and this scale is the distance between the populations, and this is the Indian population. And Indian population, you can see that it is 6.5, whereas Thailand population is around 3.5. That is the type of diversity index. Whereas Indian population, it is highly diverse. Whether you take the wet or the dry or the eastern coast populations, so they are all rich in diversity. But what we have done, whether we have utilized this diversity is a always question mark as a research. And now this is a published information in Tree Genetics and Genomics by one Dr. Hansen in 2015. And you can see here, India, dry interior, moist west, semi-moist, east coast, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos. And you can see for the diversity index here, the fourth, fifth column here, that is we say that the heterozygosity level, and you can see 0.64, 0.65, 0.74. 0.68 in Myanmar. Then you can see in Thailand and Laos 0.45 and 0.37. So the diversity of Indian population is very, very high. So this has been done through the molecular markers. This is based on the microsatellite markers. That is, they are the DNA markers. So through DNA marker, it has been proved that the Indian population is highly diverse. So that is why they ascribe that teak has initially originated from India and moved to other countries. So that is about the teak, something about the diversity and British. And in 1960s, in India also, with a lot of enthusiasm, the teak improvement program started after the visit of the J.D. Matthews, and we had our own scientist, Dr. S. Kedarnath at FRI. So he traveled throughout India, visited many states, and encouraged the state forest department to involve in the tree improvement program. This is in 1968, 1970. So they selected a lot of plus trees of teak. So this is the plus tree of teak. You can see here, this is beautiful plus tree in a plantation in Tamil Nadu. So this is a TNT 11, and here it is a TNT 7. And you can see this, there's a two yellow bands. So that is a plus tree which has been selected and also approved by the geneticist. If it is progeny tested, then we will put a band in between. So these plus trees are still existing in the forest areas. Good work. That time it was done. Then 1972 to 1974, many state forest department, they established the seed orchards. Seed orchards were established almost all the states. I have seen this in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, in Karnataka, even in Maharashtra. So Chandrapur station, those areas, many seed orchards were established. And this is one of the seed orchard, teak clonal seed orchard at Vadayar at IFGTB has established. And this is another seed orchard in Karnataka. You can see, don't see this tiger figure because this is Nagarole Tiger Reserve, but you can see this board here. So it says that there are two clonal seed orchards established in 1978, 79, 80, 81, 12 hectares and 18 hectares. The point is, so these seed orchards were established about 25, 30 years back, and subsequently the later over a period of time, because of the change in the pattern of the posting and other these things, many people have forgotten these seed orchards. Seed orchards are established with spending a lot of money, with effort, time. And it is not easy to establish these seed orchards. They are established. Now they are ready for seed production. But people are not aware of this. So this is one of the seed orchards in Karnataka, but you can see that it is not well maintained. There's a lot of weed growth. You cannot correct seeds unless it is maintained properly, because people have forgotten where are these seed orchards. When we ask, many people say we don't know where it is. But if you find out the records, their records are available. It is very important that we have to revive the seed orchard. In Karnataka also, we got a huge seed orchard. This is a seed orchard near Sakrabai, near Shimoga. And that time when they were establishing the orchards, they had to do the grafting. So this is what is known as the clonal multiplication area. You can see that they were maintained originally at this height, at our something like at up to our trunk level. And subsequently, since it was not for seed collection, the point here is the seed production areas are established, seed orchards are established. Whether we are collecting the seeds from this is a question. And this is one of the special variety of teak in Karnataka. It is known as Teli variety, which is there in North Canara and also in Shimoga. A beautiful form. And when the carpenters, when the timber, when it is cut, you can see that smell. And it's a very strong wood and very durable wood, and specifically restricted to the North Canara district and also part of Shimoga. So these are the type of the material which we need to utilize and exploit. And That way, there are about more than 250 plus trees of teak, about 5,000 hectares of seed production areas. About another 1,000 hectares of seed orchards are available. The resources are available, but we are not utilizing it. Okay. And now I am just slightly jumping into something like globally now there are a lot of private tea companies have come, but about 25 years back. So this is the paper cuttings from Hindu. You can see it is 92, something like that. So the Sterling Tree Magnum, then the Roots, then Noble Teak, and like that, at least you will find 1 dozen teak companies. They promoted teak. They said in 20 years you will get to about 62,000 rupees. You invest. But today, become successful in somewhere else. The initiative done in India, it's about 30 years back. There it has failed. Now the same type of initiative at global level, they have become very successful. So this they have failed because of few reasons. One is the technology, proper technology was not available. The source of material was not proper. The place where they were planting is not proper. So this is what I ascribe. But there is a report which says that published the role of private enterprises in Indian forestry sector in 2002. It says that there was so much of money mobilized about rupees 100 billion to 250 billion from about 2.5 to 15 million investors. And they say that most of these schemes were started with fraudulent intention. So any work, any research, any plantation, any work, your intention should be good. So these people that they never had any experience in any plantation activities, they started these companies. But when you see the companies which have come up now abroad, they are all highly experienced companies. And I was telling to the sir that we have developed that tissue culture technology for tea. Sir, please just have a look into this. So this is our multiplication area in the mist chamber, the teak clones which we are multiplying. And this is the tissue culture technology. We take auxiliary buds, put it in the culture media, we produce the multiple shoots. These multiple shoots, we do the ex situ rooting. That is, we don't do rooting in the tissue culture lab, but we do this one in a greenhouse. And this is the rooting we have done. And this is the type of seedlings which are producing, which we are supplying to lot of farms. So this is the technology. So I have shown it in a very simple way, but it is like a time-consuming technology. And so there are the seedlings. Now this is the seedlings which are planted. You can see this. So you can see here it was planted in 2018. Today we are 2021. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 3 years. So this photo is taken in 2018. The plants were about 1.5 years growth that time. So 1.5 years old growth you can see. So please see these slides. This is from Raipur. We never involved in planting. We supplied only the seedlings. So this is somewhere around 2018. This seedling. 2017 we supplied the seedlings. You can see that they have provided the drip irrigation. It is in Raipur. Have a look into this. So this is another slide of the same time. And next slide. This is the slide. This is the growth of those plants. You can see this. All plants are uniform in size. And these trees are about just 2.5 years old. And they have put on a very good growth, very good uniform growth. This is what they have technology they have adopted in Sabah and in Brazil, in other places. The technology is available. This is in Raipur. One progressive farmer, Chhattisgarh, Jain, he is the person who is standing here. And you can see that. So this is produced about almost 1 feet girth. So with this type of growth, the teak can be harvested in 8 years. So this is what I wanted to send a message. So this technology, in fact, we also adopted from the other companies, and we have done. Like I mentioned that this technology we have transferred, the tissue culture technology, because ours is a research laboratory. We have transferred to about three private firms. One is in Bangalore, one is in Mysore, other one is in Kadalur. So very recently, just last month only, and this is Labland Biotech in Mysore. So these people are being trained and they will be given the culture material. By next year, probably we will be seeing more plants being produced from them because there is a heavy demand for these seedlings. And another issue is the farmers are interested in growing. This is one of the plantation raised by the seeds or the seedlings by a farmer near Shomoga. I met him. I spoke to him. He has developed a plantation which is about more than 25 acres. I asked him. He said, "Sir, I will not grow teak once again." Why? He said, "Sir, there are a lot of procedural formalities in getting the clearance." So unless we, of course, we do some favorable action to, to relax these rules and regulations, and we have to do some proactive action. So then only it is possible. Farmers are interested. There are a lot of farmers who are interested. So this is a material which is tinned being taken by a Hunsur company. And some farmers who have grown, they are not very happy because of the rules and regulations. So that is about the British, that is about the Indian situation. So let us move on to, this is from Thailand, a clonal plantation. You can see I am going to talk now mostly on the work which is done outside the country. So teak plantation quite popular in Malaysia, 18 to 20, in Sabah 18 to 20 years. This is the type of plantation. And there we visited in Thailand. When we visited, we also visited a market, timber market. You can see the size of the logs in Thailand, which is being sold. Huge, huge size. And this is the type of management. This is northern Thailand, close to Burma. The teak plantations are there. And what they do is they engage these people. They are farmers, local farmers. They engage the people every year. And they allow them to cultivate their crop in the teak plantations. So as a result, the benefit to the forest department is the soil is what, some water is given, some management is done. And what is the benefit to the farmers? They will harvest the crop and they will go back. So they are waiting for the allotment of the land. This is on the northern Thailand, close to the Burma. So these are the possibilities. And sir, I was telling that Indonesia, for 400 years, they are growing teak. Because in Indonesia, Dutch East India Company introduced the teak in Indonesia. One company, this particularly company, YSG Biotech, is become quite popular because they have popularized this clonal plantation of teak. Very good publication. These are the two publications. Mass production and quality control of teak clones for tropical plantations. So this is the company which has supplied the teak clones to Brazil, to Australia. The clonal plantation have become popular because of this YSG Biotech. And they call their teak as a super teak. It is known as super teak. So TG1, TG2 like this. So this is what the technology which has been developed by this private company. And the left one is, I have taken from these books, these photographs. The left one is the seed raiser plantation. The right one is the clonal plantation. The clonal plantation, what I have shown from IFGTV Teak, is as good as this one. So this is about 3.5 year old plantation in Mato Grosso. Mato Grosso is in Brazil. So Brazil plantation. And this is the technology, the same thing, select the best tree, multiply them in the laboratory, and grow as the plantation, teak plantation. So they say it is easily amenable. It is, the technology is simple, but people are not used to that. So this is a 4-year-old teak. In Indonesia, good growth. And this is the teak in Queensland, northern Queensland, in Australia, 7-year-old. So this is a TGB 8 and this is the TG3. So that is the type of growth you are getting 7-year-old plantation. So this is in Brazil, you can see the difference in growth between the seed, that is DBH of the seedlings, and this is DBH of the clone, and this is the age. So you can see that the type of the DBH, so 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So this is the type of growth. So with this type of growth, definitely one can harvest the teak in about 15 to 18 years. This is what it is happening. So it is mentioned that results from a plantation at age 9 in Brazil, and it can be harvested at 15 to 18 years. And this is the type of volume they have given, clone. So that is 47 cubic meters per hectare per year. So that way then another clone is about 48 cubic meter per hectare per year. So this is the published information. With this type of growth, you can harvest the teak in 15 years. So this is how somehow in India we have missed. The people are producing tissue culture plants, teak, private companies. I don't want to name them. But what is the material you are propagating is very important. So this is not only as a plantation, but as an agroforestry model also. Teak is quite popular. So for smallholding farmers also, this is a very important crop. A farmer, a small farmer, having about 4 or 5 teak trees in about 20 years, each tree will fetch him at least 50,000 rupees. A 6 trees will give him about 3 lakh rupees. He is definitely, he will be very, very happy. So this smallholding farmers, a lot of work again is going on in many countries. So here you can see that this is a managing of smallholder plantations. This is in again in I think Indonesia, and this is in Laos and in Cambodia also. Smallholding farmers, lot of farmers they are growing on a global basis. The teak comprises in smallholding farmers in 19% in Asia, 31% in Central America, and 34% in South America. So there they have got smallholding farmers also quite big in number. There's a lot of private companies also. So this is one development which has happened very recently in 2019. I said teak is native to India, Thailand, Burma, and part of Laos and Vietnam. And these Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam together, they have formed, taken up a project, ITO project, enhancing the conservation sustainable management of teak forest and legal and sustainable wood supply chain in the greater Mekong region, sub-region. So this was 3 years, started in 2019, ending in 2022, and a lot of activities are going on. I see a lot of publications. So they have got a separate newsletter. And the important thing is the major country, India, somehow was not able to join this. I do not know whether it is a loss or a gain. Only the wisdom of the people has to say that. And this is the report by FAO, Forest Department, Forestry Department, Teak Resource and Market Assessment in 2010. And here it says that the Indian demand dominates the market. So the market, whomsoever they are producing teak, they are looking at India as a market. So 11 out of 14 reporting countries name India as their number one importer, absorbing about 70 to 100% of global teak exports including shipments of plantation logs and sawn timber from Africa and Latin America. So this is how the logs are coming. And I was telling, I showed you the Indian companies, some Indian companies, they have failed. And these are also very successful companies. Teak Resource Company, it's in Brazil, and a FSC certified company. And this is their website. I have taken this photograph from this website. You can see this is the whole huge teak plantation, mostly supported by technology from the Saba group. Then farm in Ghana. Again, they have got a large, huge teak plantation. And I could say that two of our students who worked with IFGTB, they are working for these companies. So in Sierra Leone, and they are helping him in growing the teak there in their country. And there is a company like a Novel Teak company, and there is a Miro. You can type this and find out in the Google Miro. So this is their nursery, huge nursery, very systematic works. So they are all going for teak cultivation and mostly about the clonal plantations. And this is the teak bulletin. So TeakNet, every 3 months they bring out the teak bulletin. It comes out from the KFRI. So very good information on teak they provide. And there is the fourth World Teak Conference will be held in Ghana. It was supposed to be held in 2020. And it's postponed, and they are probably planning this year or next year. So this Teak World Conference is going to be held in Ghana. The first World Conference was not held in India. It was held in Central America. So here, our teak is native to India. Our farmers are interested in growing teak. A common man prefers teak while constructing his house and also would like to have a furniture made out of teak. There are large areas which are suitable for growing teak as plantation crops and also under agroforestry. And we are also boasted of creating a artificial plantation of teak in the world for the first time. But with all these things, we import teak from countries which neither had the germplasm nor experience of growing teak about 40, 50 years back. Okay. And teak, what has happened, the change in scenario is the technology, the clonal technology, which has changed the way it is being cultivated. Rotation age, which used to be about 60, 70 years, has been reduced to 20 years. And it is as a plantation and also in bund planting, it is becoming popular. And there is a corporate investment is there. And it's being grown in non-traditional areas. And that way it has become a global species. So what is my suggestion is we should have a long-term development program like bamboo mission and other thing. We can have a teak mission also. In 1952 itself, the FAO had a subcommission on teak, but somehow that became defunct. But India can have something like a teak mission to utilize these genetic resources and put back the teak to its past glory. What Britishers have done, that much work subsequently we have not done. And easy accessibility to quality planting stock to the farmers, and also the relaxation in harvesting and transport of teak, and precision silviculture with good clones, and 18 to 20 years we should be able to harvest teak. And we can use the biotechnological tools to understand the diversity. And finally, create a consortia of research institutes, the farmers, artisans, wood-based industries, and help in export of the finished products. That means there is a big scope. Everybody wants tea, but it's being imported. This is my point. And we have to grow in India, and we have to make this furniture or wood artists, whatever things it is there in India, and export from India. So this is my last slide, and thank you, sir.